My name is Daniel Swärd, and I have the great pleasure to welcome Jenn Tibbenham from England today, but you're American at heart. And you're a 3-time world champion, you're a strong woman, and you did 379 pounds in deadlift in 2008 and took your first world championship gold. And then in 2013 and 2015, you did the 7 disciplines all around weightlift. Welcome, Jenn, and tell us, why should we start out weightlifting? What does it bring to life?
Well, thank you for having me, Daniel. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. I think weightlifting, it makes you a better person, mentally, physically, especially for women, bone density. It's just a huge effect. I think, anybody should be lifting anything they can, whether it's rocks, bricks, cement, it's just anything that you can do. Originally, I think it was all the summers mowing lawns just to try to make money stateside growing up, just moving bags of grass, just anything to keep you moving. And mentally, I think as well, what I found working in my career, sometimes it's posture, sometimes sitting at a desk that we tense up or that we're not breathing enough. And I think sometimes weightlifting, it makes you breathe a little bit more. And again, I've had a little bit of past background with yoga, and it makes you concentrate on your breathing and sometimes the long breaths. And I even find myself in weightlifting, especially having a maximal effort, that before I kind of attempt either a world record, it's this just huge, like double breath, either kind of like a furl of the brow, whether that's awakening the third eye, if you believe in that new age mysticism, that it just gets your body, spirit, heart ready to have this maximal effort.
And you put something in your nose and something on your hands. Tell us about the routines. Yes. And the different aspects of it.
Yeah, it's funny. So sometimes the ammonia salts, don't do it too often. If you want me to kind of reach out to your younger audience, that it kind of kills a few brain cells. So I only do it on, very either world record attempts. So ammonia salts, they're everywhere, or you see them in movies to try to revive people, the ammonia capsules. It's just very kind of almost bleach smelling type that goes to your nose. The chalk, just white gym chalk to put on your hands to make sure possibly any sweat, any other moisture in the air. If you talk to any of my Scandinavian brethren from grip sport, they can tell you about humidity. But I just think having that chalk, that it just hopefully reaffirms that you have a strong grip, or that you have maximal surface area on your hands around the metal apparatuses. So that chalk helps. And then even with my son kind of in my little gym, he even knows to chalk up some of those apparatuses. So it's that mimicking action that even my son understands, that any attempt that gets some chalk on your hands.
And when you make a world champion gold deadlift, is that something you can only do a few times in life? Like when you're a marathon runner, you can't repeat that every week, so to say. Or can you go out in your garage now and make that same deadlift?
That's a great question. At the moment, since I'm pregnant with baby number 2, I wouldn't say, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I think it's good to have the mental capacity to think about those positive moments in your life. And I think you should always make sure you have great technique, that you think about those efforts to make sure, because even some of the strongest men that I've known, they've actually either pulled their back out on like a 60-kilo deadlift. So for my American audience, that would just be the Olympic bar and 245 plates, just one on each side, that I've known people just kind of pull their back on that. So it goes to show you that you can't just take advantage of a light deadlift. But I think it's having that it's having that positive energy, and it's that mental imagery before you take that attempt.
and how much is physics, how much is heritage, mindset, technique? What's the different aspects of a strong
that's a
woman?
baked potato loaded question. In international all-round weightlifting, there was a gentleman, Art Montini, bless his heart, he's dead, but he was still weightlifting in his late 90s. I think he passed away when he was 96. He told me, he said, Jen, the reason why you're such a good lifter is because you're part Italian. With my maiden name being Donatelli, that he thought possibly it being Italian. So Montini, that was Art, and that's what he said from his little bit. Mental, again, even my 2015 international all-round weightlifting experience, I actually failed my first attempt on a Zerker squat. So the bar's on the floor and you put your arms underneath the bar and then just stand up. I failed it the first time round. Something wasn't there, but I knew within my numbers and my training, the way that you have to get your body into a rhythm of how you're going to react on the day. So I just said, no, I'm still going to stick to moving my same numbers. And I still achieved it. I think it was something like a 15 kilo difference. You just have to know when to use your attempts wisely. So it's that mental setup and the numbers. And I think sometimes it goes back to muscle memory on what your body remembers what to do. Whether or not that light attempt felt weird, just who knows, that maybe just a cold attempt and either something in my mental focus or preparation, whether it was breathing, and who knows if I just found my rhythm again, and that's what made the difference.
And people who want to become strong to start out, is it enough with body weight, or do you have to go to the gym? Tell us, how should we start the journey towards a stronger body?
To start the journey, I would say do what you can do. And whether that's 1 kilo weights, 2.5 kilo, 5 kilos, possibly body weight. Some of the best coaches I've ever heard say that you need to listen to your body. And even in high school, I had some of the long distance runners lift with me because I wasn't going to make fun of them. That I just thought, no, they need to be in a welcoming atmosphere. And if I can provide that positive experience, then that's a step in the right direction, or that's what I find in the strength community. That's what brings people together, that you need to have a good time with it. They don't need negative experience. The world can be full of negative experiences. So that's where I thought positive, do what they can do, whether that meant getting the curl bar or even some dumbbells. They need to figure out what they can do, not what I can do. And every journey is different.
And your journey started with Discus at Portland State University and Boise State University. You read history at first, you did Discus. Tell us, how did you come to love Discus? It's a little different sport.
Yeah, it is a different sport. It's not like, I know some people, especially girls in America, I know they like to play softball. It's more communal. Discus, just very individual sometimes. Who knows if that was kind of like my first yoga, that you just think you find your own meditation practices, whether yoga, there's this mat, whether it's a shape of just a discus circle, that's that area of preparation, focus, and it's almost like this rhythmic dance with the metal object to throw it in the direction. I found something that I really liked and I could focus on. Just, if I had any weak points, that I just focus on them, and also finding other coaches that could steer me in a better direction. Just finding those people that are positive. Now, it's just something that if you love it and you get the bug, go for it. Some powerlifters call it the iron bug. And maybe I just had a metal bug for a little while with discus. So No, it's just finding something that lights you up like a Christmas tree, I guess, and brings joy to your life.
And love took you to the UK 11 years ago, and now you're a
Yes.
mother of a
Yes.
small boy and the second on the way. So you have secured coming generations of strong men and strong women, hopefully. Tell us,
Yes.
what's your first memory of weightlifting, and how did you come to enjoy and love the sport, and when did you know that you're towards world championships, another level?
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that. So when I go visit my cousins in Burns, Oregon, another little small town that probably nobody's ever heard of, National Geographic, I think in the 90s, called it Oregon's Outback, to kind of put it in perspective of almost like in Australia in the middle of the United States, just out in the middle of nowhere. That we just went to this health club called Bodywise, and the lat pull down machines, and I think I was around about 5 at the time. That I was like, this is cool. You go to the gym, just metal everywhere. Obviously I was being supervised by either my brother, older cousins, or my mom and people that were there. But I think after doing the team sport thing, volleyball, basketball, that then just going to the gym, and then it was just interesting how then when you got more serious with, especially when I specialized in discus, that weight training made you a better discus thrower, that your body, your muscles were being, built, created. Now I'm almost starting to sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, that, you put clay on your shoulders, you kind of make bigger shoulders. That's kind of the way that he said it in Pump and Iron, that, a metal can kind of just body build. It can transform you into a stronger person. And I met this gentleman in one of my history classes, and this was in 2007. Algano, he was a power lifter, and he was like, why don't you get into powerlifting? And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that kind of existed. And so a deadlift, I seem to excel at that, just always a strong back. And then I did my first meet, or so it was like 2006, and then 2008. Then I just thought, okay, all right, let's just go. I qualified to go to the World Championships with the World Association of Deadlift and Bench Pressers, and just did one event, and deadlift's more of my specialty, not a bench presser, and just kind of focused and just worked hard, and the numbers were there.
And which is your record all time in deadlift?
Well, see, then now you're kind of getting to the nitty gritty of things. Because with strongman, at the Arnold Classic in 2015, that I had a deadlift twice of 180 kilos. And so that's where I was able to have like my wrist straps on, and I had 2 neoprene back supports, because I just thought on that day I'm hitting my maximal numbers. And I wanted to get out of that competition alive and still walking. So in a way, that's kind of a quote equipped. But one of my stronger deadlifts, I was close to almost 400 pounds once, and there was a competition in Salt Lake. And at the time and I was at a different weight class. So there's a numbers game sometimes, that what you've been able to lift under a different weight class, and sometimes it's prep, and then sometimes who knows that if you're at a lower body weight, that your body reacts differently to say, okay, I feel a little bit stronger. So I think, and that was like 397 pounds. So 20 pounds to almost 10 kilos, it's not too bad to say that you've lifted maximal in 2 different weight classes.
And that level is, is it the mind that stops, or is it the body that just can't do? Because you heard these stories about women who saves their kids, lifting up cars and stuff. Where's the limit,
Yeah.
and what creates that limit? And is there some way to go around it?
Wow, that's a great question. Sometimes, who knows if it was just a preparation error technique or just the body. Who knows if your adrenaline just spikes during that competition versus, like you say, that emergency situation of a woman, lifting a car to save her child. I guess there's that one-time concentrative effort versus that 3 or 4, and then making sure, I guess, that little bit of stress on the body just to hit those numbers consistently. So, you've opened up a can of worms of a good discussion there.
And how do people go from a dream to an achieved goal?
For me, it's always been a numbers game of writing things down on a piece of paper. And I put it, I know this sounds absolutely cheesy, that little Post-it or little cheat sheet, tape it to the bathroom mirror. And I think it's the consistent kind of vision board of looking at those numbers. So the bathroom mirror is just significant for me because you take that 2 minutes to brush your teeth. And of course, with technology and how would I say, just even with electric toothbrushes, that you have that consistent 2 minutes of numbers of when the timer on that toothbrush that you just know. And I think it's that constant kind of feeling. And 4 years ago, I was supposed to go to Norway and do a grip competition, and somehow blew my back. I didn't get to compete, but I still had a good vacation with my mom. But I was trying to be very consistent with looking at my numbers, and sometimes just your body's not there, or you just have bad luck. I think it's like Formula One racing. A driver thinks that they're there and they go into the wall.
And how do you recover from injuries, and what is the most common ones in strong woman or strong man?
Sometimes just a lot of muscle aches, and knock on wood, I've been absolutely lucky. I've had a lot of tendonitis issues, and that could come down to genetics or just either lack of not cooling down properly, not stretching. What I would do in this case, I really prefer the cold water methods, and I've kind of been in a baptism of fire from my NCAA experience with throwing discus with Portland State and Boise State, that we jumped in the cold tubs, and that's to reverse the Krebs cycle, lactic acid, so then you can go hard the next day. So I'm lucky. I have a 2-minute walk down the beach. There's been days, I think my friend and I, we had a good session, got our wetsuits on, and I think this was Christmas Eve in England, and we decided after a huge session to go and take a dip in the channel. And I think it works. And I think there was a article back in 2004 or 5 that from Men's Health United States that said just going in either a pool or ice cold, that it apparently reduces soreness up to 400%. So I think it's using that little bit of sports, excuse me, that sports science, it's the proof is in the pudding. Or beetroot juice. Beetroot juice is another way to reduce soreness. And arnica is another way, but yoga and stretching. And then just making sure that you're hydrated, just a lot of water to make sure that, that your muscles are hydrated.
And when in running, you get runner's high, you have, the stress levels get reduced. There's a lot of this stuff going on in the body. What about weightlifting? What does that make within the body and in the mind?
That's a good question. And I think you can relate to the runner's high. Sometimes either if you do a certain set of reps, a maximal, or I think if you've had a frustrating day at work, and especially when you have those particular how do I say, particular personalities that you have to deal with, and they do make you scream sometimes. That at least you can go out to your own little shed, your little sanctuary, your church, and just pound some metal and just scream out some people's names, and you feel better. That, you know, just you wish you could tell somebody they're an idiot, but you can't do that. It's not socially acceptable. And no, I think you can get the same thing, or it's just that release of frustration that you need to do. And I just wish society would let you do that a bit more. That I think people need to scream. It's like that 80s song, you know, shout, shout, let it all out.
And do you experience flow or in competitions? How do you work? How do you work with your mind? Do you do mental training?
Just try. It's that numbers game, to try to put numbers on a piece of paper. Breathing. You know, just even the other day with my fire walk, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It just seemed like a great thing to do at the time. Fire walk. One of my Strongwoman buddies said, "Hey, let's do this for charity," and I had no idea. So then I listened to kind of a Fuel and Rage Kid Rock song that I was like, just, you're gonna walk out on that fire no matter what. So I think sometimes just listening to some songs that invoke some kind of like violent tendencies or just emotional, just go and get after it, that I think you need to invoke your spirit to just say you need to do what you need to do, whether that's, you know, lifting an almost 200 kilo deadlift, that you know what to do, and don't chicken out. You have to believe in yourself, because I think if you second guess yourself, then that's when you're going to be in trouble.
And if you were to become a philosopher and write a chapter about weightlifters, how would you define them? What's the common threads between them? What links them together? The most successful ones.
And a phrase that just screamed out to me is from my powerlifting coach, Al Gunnel, is methodical rage. I think there comes a point where you dial in to what you need to get done and accomplished. So, you know, be cool. You got to get that breathing, but then you need to know when to switch it on to say, okay, I need to get these muscle fibers firing. I need to find my own, you know, kind of button to say, okay, we need to turn it up, be fearless, and, you know, just have the tightest grip that you can on the bar, and to make sure that your whole body either just, you know, fires up like a rocket, and whether you need to have that kind of vocal scream to say, yes, you've done it. When I did like my fire engine breast cancer pull, I had a lot of people saying that I was not going to pull a fire engine. And I just thought, what are you talking about? You know, I'm a world champion. I've done Strongwoman events, lifted more weight than you've ever had in your whole entire life. And you're going to tell me, no, I'm not going to pull that fire truck. I just thought, no way. Like, I got myself kind of pumped up on some of the like 90s techno, just whatever. I just didn't care, that I was just like, I'm going to pull that thing no matter what. And who knows, the psychology of the naysayers were like pumping me up, but I still did it. And I just thought, no. You have to be your best. I think even this is from like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have to be your biggest fan. If not, then you're not going to succeed whatsoever.
And the difference between bodybuilders and strong men and strong women, where's the limits there? The people who look very strong, they don't make the records. And for us as amateurs, it seems a little strange. And people who seem a little bit overweight in some competitions, they're strong as hell. It's you don't see their muscles.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And that's where it's never judge a book by its cover. Again, one of my good friends, Rob Blair, he's a great coach, he's a world champion, or I'm sorry, world record holder in the meat hook deadlift. And probably about 82 kilos. And, that's where people think, oh, you don't know how to move apparatuses, you don't know how to move tires. And I beg to differ. Just packages come in all shapes and sizes, and they're able to move things. And so I guess it's the power of social media to convey, people what they can lift, can't lift. And that's where, like within grip sports sometimes, where people show the weights of everything that they lift to say, hey, I'm not kidding you. This isn't smoke and mirrors. So, God, if it's bone density, if it's, muscle structures, it's just amazing. I think there's a whole factor, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say in England. And I guess once it's there, then people show it. But I agree that, one person's strength is another's weakness.
And what would be your best piece of advice for young girls who want to become strong, who want to, transform their bodies and be like you?
Well,
lift that deadlift.
Yeah, to lift. I just say follow your dreams, follow your passion, follow your goal setting, and I would say get in touch with people that are positive and want to make an impact. People that are enthusiastic. I think that's the best thing. People that want to see others succeed, not fail. I'd say the journey's long. No way is it ever a shortcut. You have to be consistent, and you have to work hard at it. It's not gonna come overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say. It's just a long road, and just make sure you have a lot of people. Just have a few positive friends, because the people that will always bring you down, either sometimes they're jealous. So I would just say that, don't pick up Cosmopolitan, don't pick up Vogue. It's pick up, it's following the things on social media, it's following some strong women, it's following Olympic athletes. Thinking to myself, I read a book, I think it was concluding my first year of my master's degree. It was Dara Torres, an American swimmer, and saying that at the time that she was kind of a pioneer.
She's on my interview list.
Are you? Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, at some point I'd love to meet her or say that she has a fan within the network.
Yeah.
But no, Dara Torres, I think reading her autobiography, I think that inspired me to say, that I could still compete as a mom, because she said that she had her youngest there, and as long as you have a partner that understands where your head is to keep competing and to have that fitness level, then I think you can do anything. And even on CNN, I was going to share with even the American Olympic team, there's still a lot of moms. And I think that's great for especially the younger generations to say, you can still compete and you can still be a mom. It's finding the balance.
Fantastic.
So I just think the times are changing, and they're changing for the better, that if there's, females or moms that still want to lift and still have fitness as a component of their life.
Fantastic. You can start with lifting their babies. They get heavier and heavier every day. Especially
all the time,
when you have twins like me.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Jenn, warm thank you now, and the best of luck on your beautiful journey towards the future and your second child that will come in a few months. Warm thank you.
Thank you. All the best.